What if the most powerful economy in Europe was secretly rotting from the inside? Not from bombs, not from sanctions, not from some outside enemy. From its own decisions, its own system, its own hands. Germany, 80 million people, the industrial backbone of an entire continent, a country that rebuilt itself from total destruction twice. And right now, quietly, slowly, it is collapsing. The proof isn't hard to find. You just have to know where to look. Because the first people to always know when a ship is sinking are the ones smart enough to get off it. Germany's engineers, doctors, software developers, skilled tradespeople, the exact people every government fights to hold on to, are already at the exit. Stay with me, because by the end of this, the picture gets very dark, very fast. Let's start with the money, because in Germany, your money isn't really yours. The average working German loses nearly half their income before they even see their paycheck. Taxes, social contributions, gone. 7 out of every 10 working hours, handed straight to the state. And what comes back? Potholes, delayed trains, internet speeds that trail Romania, energy bills that make grown adults wince. We pay for a luxury car, but drive the budget version. That's not comedy. That's the lived reality of millions of working people. And then, with whatever is left, the government takes another 19% on everything purchased. Groceries, clothes, everything. Germany has the lowest home ownership rate in the entire European Union. More than half the population rents forever. A family home in Berlin? Easily €1 million. Every person under 35 has quietly given up on ever owning property. So instead they spend freely, because saving towards something completely out of reach makes no logical sense. Germany's welfare system is so generous that working a minimum wage job barely pays more than not working at all. State support covers rent, health insurance, transport, cash in hand. The result, a quiet logic spreading through cities. Why work hard if the reward is almost identical to doing nothing? Hard work taxed heavily, inactivity subsidized generously. That is the system, and it is unsustainable. Germany had a math problem. Aging population, fewer young workers paying into pensions. The numbers were turning ugly. The political solution, open the doors, bring in workers, grow the economy. In 2015, the then chancellor stood before the nation and said, "We can handle this." Over 1 million people arrived in a single year. On spreadsheets, Germany's overall GDP grew. The economy looked healthy on paper, but GDP per person went nowhere. Completely flat. And on the ground, in the actual streets where real people live, an integration plan that barely existed. Entire communities forming parallel societies inside German cities. Cultures arriving in massive numbers with no real pathway into German life, language, or economy. 16% of the population holding non-citizen status, accounting for 34% of reported offenses, and enormous pressure on the public not to discuss it openly. Within years, the most welcoming country toward immigration in Western Europe completely reversed. The political class that designed this policy, still in power, still deflecting. There is a museum in Berlin dedicated entirely to bureaucracy, not as a joke, as a real exhibit. One display features a 10-foot tower of paper, the documentation for a single wind turbine permit. Over half of German companies said bureaucracy was the primary reason they would not expand investment inside Germany. The Berlin Airport project tells the whole story. Planning started in the early 90s. 30 years, €7 billion. Contractor scandals, bribery investigations, non-functional fire alarms, broken escalators, windows that jammed above 30 degrees. It opened in 2020. A German satire publication ran a piece about a fictional operative who died of old age before the airport was ever completed. That was considered funny because it was accurate, and that was the project they cared about, the flagship, the showcase. Imagine the state of everything they don't care about. In 2011, a natural disaster struck Japan. A nuclear plant failed. Archival footage, Japan tsunami, nuclear plant cooling tower. Germany, thousands of miles away, responded by shutting down its own clean, functioning nuclear infrastructure. The public pressure was loud, the political opportunity was obvious, the decision was fast. The energy loss from nuclear was largely absorbed by shifting sources, while costs skyrocketed. Germany now carries the highest household energy prices in Europe, and those prices land hardest on the people with the least to spare. Retired workers on €800 monthly pensions, carefully counting every purchase, skipping meals, taking second jobs in their late 60s just to cover rent. These are not edge cases. These are patterns across an entire generation. When a system fails the people inside it, those people find alternatives. The AfD, Alternative for Germany, now polls as the single most popular party in the country, a far-right movement, dominant in the eastern states, growing rapidly everywhere else. Every other major party refuses to govern alongside them, won't negotiate, won't acknowledge. A political wall built specifically to contain them. And every time that wall is reinforced, the AfD gains more support. 20% of a population voting for a party excluded from political participation. That is a democratic system under severe stress. Some of these politicians have documented ties to the Kremlin. A Germany pulled away from NATO toward cheap Russian energy, away from its European partners, is not a distant fantasy. It is a scenario serious analysts are modeling right now. Germany had every card in the deck: continental economic dominance, engineering reputation, social stability, a workforce the world respected, and systematically, decision by decision, the political class spent it down. Tax the productive, subsidize inactivity, build nothing, kill clean energy, import millions with no real plan, bury progress under paperwork. Now the talent is gone, the investment is gone, the optimism is gone, and what's left is a population splitting between those leaving and those angry enough to burn the system down through the ballot box. This is not ancient history. This is happening right now. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe to Deep Dive, because we go where the mainstream doesn't. The next one you won't want to miss.